What's up guys, Tim Little, Matt Allen, welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we have another holiday buyer's guide for you. Today we have a combination jerkbaits and blade baits. Two techniques that you can head out this time of the year, wintertime fishing, and put fish in the boat. You're gonna wanna check this out.
Let's jump right into this. Jerkbaits and wintertime bass go hand in hand. So does the blade. Both of these baits are techniques that you could go to the water right now and catch these fish. You don't have to wait. You're not waiting for springtime. You can go out there in the coldest of water and catch them on both of these. And you can throw them on the same equipment. So they were natural to do together. We're cramming these in before we get to the holidays for you guys. But mixing these two is a perfect match. Now, jerkbaits. This is one technique where it is really difficult to talk about budget options. Everybody wants a budget bait. Everybody. We don't want to pay a ton of money for a bait, but with a jerkbait, you get what you pay for, especially in winter. In the warmer months, in springtime, a bait doesn't have to be perfectly balanced because you're fishing them faster. In the winter, when you're going slow and you're just letting that bait hover in the water and it's just sitting there and you're waiting for that fish to rise, if that bait's not perfect, you are not getting bit. So this is one of those rare times where spending a little bit more for the right baits can be the difference between catching nothing and catching a ton of fish. So we did the best we could to find some budget options for you and cover the high end, but just know in jerkbaits, you get what you pay for. The first bait that I'm going to talk about is the Vision 110 Plus 1. So it's got a large lip on it. The bait is designed to go deep. If you watched our underwater footage from earlier in the fall, you saw this bait. Ultra erratic, huge motions from side to side. It's an amazing bait, and when it stops, it just hangs in the water. They make it in a deeper version too, a Plus 2, but this Plus 1 is that perfect balance of action and depth. It's really easy to fish, and it works fantastic as these fish are sitting on the outer edges of cover as the water is cooling down.
Yeah, that deep diver is that's a must this time of year as those fish are sitting in that deeper water. I'm gonna stick with the deep diving jerkbait, and I'm gonna talk about the Lucky Craft. This is the Stacy 90. This is a staple out here on the West Coast. I don't know how many tournaments have been won on this bait right here, but your Clearwater reservoirs, your actually out on Clear Lake. I mean, it's been,
yeah, it doesn't have to be clear.
Yeah, we've smashed on it. But again, sticking with that little deeper diver jerkbait, the Stacy. Great colors. Lucky Craft has great colors, balanced very well. Matt talked a little bit about it, but as these water temperatures get lower, that affects the float and how your bait sits in the water. And these two baits, these deep divers that we talked about, are must-haves in your jerkbait arsenal.
Now the whole thing with these buyer's guides is to simplify this for you going into the holidays. For you to choose the right baits to spend your money on for your loved ones, to make it easier for them with holidays coming, with shopping. That is what this is for. So we want to keep it simple. So talking about dead of winter, those two baits by themselves are awesome. Now the rest of these can apply in winter, but also apply year round. These are just some of our favorites. The next one up is the Jackal Re-Range. It's a little bit larger profile than a lot of the jerkbaits on the market. It gets a big bite. What I love about this bait is that it has a large weight transfer, which makes it very easy to cast. So when you fire this thing, you can get a ton of distance out of it. A very large weight goes to the back of the bait and will just sail. After that, the bait has a ton of flash and roll, and that is where those bites come from. It's a bait that you want to work aggressively. You really want to snap the rod on that bait to get the best action out of it.
Yeah, we're kind of crunching down these baits because I think we've done a couple in-depth jerkbait videos here, and we'll link those videos for you. This is just to make sure that your wives or your loved ones know exactly what to get you, make it easier for them. But if you want to learn how to fish them or what baits work well, we'll link those videos down below in the video description and up top here as well. I'm gonna go with the Mega Bass, the Vision 110. How do you talk about a jerkbait, a buyer's guide, without mentioning the 110? This is the staple in jerkbait fishing. High quality, balanced very well. So many realistic, phenomenal, crazy colors. I mean, they got everything, all the way down to the light wire out barb hooks. This is one of the best, if not the best, overall jerkbaits on the market, the Megabass 110.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad you said colors. You want to talk about that one?
Real quick, I'll go for it.
I'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right, also the 110, but this is the silent version. If you are on a fishery where a lot of people are throwing a jerkbait and you want to be different, throw the silent. You get that same action out of the bait. It's actually got a little bit, slightly different action, but extremely similar. It's got a little more roll to it, but dead silent in the water, and it gets them. I catch a ton of fish right out here on this bait. When everybody is throwing a jerkbait, you come in behind them with that silent bait and come sneaking through those docks, showing those fish something that they can see but can't hear, and it makes all the difference.
Yeah, these jerkbaits that we're talking about can all be worked at different cadences. You know, twitch, twitch, pause, all the way down to twitch, let it sit for 30 seconds. I mean, that is how you fish these things in the cold water months. We tried really hard to get the price point down for some budget jerkbaits that we believed in. And I want to talk about this guy right here. This is a Rapala Ripstop. We did some underwater footage of this guy earlier in the year, and we were very impressed once we got real aggressive with the rod twitches. It's got a little kicker tail on here that helps slow that bait down, but it's a real aggressive bait. Not necessarily something that would work in the dead of winter unless the fish are fired up. But this is a good year-round jerkbait that you guys should check out.
Yeah, you can't say enough about how hard to hit that bait, because when we first threw it, we were confused. Right. We're like, man, it just doesn't look right. And when you really hit that thing, it came to life. That is an awesome bait. All right, last one for me on the jerkbaits. And you brought up color a little bit ago. Down in the video description, we will link every single one of these baits. We'll give you a little bit of information on why that bait, and then we will give you some of our personal favorite colors. The ghost colors, the more reactive, aggressive colors. We'll link all of that for you to make it simple, as well as hook upgrades. Tim started talking about hooks. You can wear these hooks out on these baits and you need to upgrade them, and it's a dangerous thing to do because when you're making hook changes, you can screw up the balance. But there is one hook in particular that is fantastic for upgrading hooks on all of these jerkbaits. Doesn't mess their balance up at all. We'll include that too. Now the last one, this is a Lucky Craft Flash Pointer. This is the 115, it also comes in a 100, and both are awesome options. It's going to play to that same fish as the re-range. They have a lot of different color options than each other, but they both have that beautiful flash as they come through the water and will just throw an amazing amount of light. They pull fish so far because, again, flash pointer, that's what it's supposed to do. When you rip it, it turns as it goes and it just throws that light and it shines so far out in the water. Both this bait and that re-range as you head into spring will smash. The smaller version of this, the 100 in particular, is way smaller than any of the other baits that will throw that flash, and it will flat catch them as the fish start moving back into the shallows.
All right, so now we're gonna jump into blade baits. Wintertime fishing, we've talked about, you know, slowing down, reactive bites. A silver buddy is kind of like the staple of blade baits. That's kind of what got it started. But we have 3 baits here that we want to show you that we think you guys should check out, that we have a lot of confidence in, we've caught a lot of fish on. I'm gonna go ahead and start it off with the Demiki Vault. You know, you guys know that we love lipless crankbaits. This is just a more finesse version of a lipless crankbait.
Right.
It's quiet, silent, got real tight action, comes through cover really well. It's a small profile, a little bit heavier, so when you rip that through, if you got remaining grass or vegetation, it rips through that. In the springtime, you get a lot of great reaction bites, but wintertime, slow down, work this very slow, but that Demiki Vault is a must-have. We caught a lot of big ones on it, and it's just a killer little package.
It sure is. And to be clear, this is not a chuck and wind bait. This is a down on the bottom, just pop it up. You'll feel it vibrate, and then you let it fall. Vibrate, let it fall. And you'll lift up and you'll slack it out. Lift up and donk, they eat it on the way down.
Yeah, we have designated blade bait videos that we'll link also.
We might as well link those too.
Yeah. Again, this is just to help you guys pass what you want for Christmas on to your loved ones so they can get you the right stuff. In-depth, technique specific. We'll link those videos down below.
Yeah, and we're keeping these blades simple, so we're only giving you 3. There are a handful of really good options, but these 3 crush it. This one is a new one from Blade Runner. This little guy, now it comes in 3 sizes. This is the 1/4 ounce, and that's why I wanted you to pick it up, because having a smaller option is awesome. But they make it in a 1/4, a 1/2, and a 3/4. But this is along the lines of that original Silver Buddy, but they offer it in some different colors. Blade Runner, the same people that make the Duh Spoon that we love so much, finally made a blade, and they make a little version, completely different. That's a great little option.
The last bait that I want to talk about is going to be this guy right here. This is the Jackal Keyburn, and what makes this bait stand out from the rest, it's a circuit board bait, real thin back, real light back, so you can actually you can probably throw all these on a spinning rod. If you're a pond fisherman and you're fishing out deep by the dam, you can definitely pick up some of these because they will work in ponds as well. But this Jackal, great, realistic, phenomenal colors. The quality's there, the snap's high end. It's got a little insert that's built in so it doesn't wear into the snap. But the Keyburn is quickly becoming one of my favorite blade baits.
Yeah, what I like so much about that Keyburn is that because it is that computer board material, it's not metal up top, it starts to vibrate sooner when you first pull on it. And that is the sign of a great bait, a bait that will start right away. The downside is that those Keyburns are constantly out of stock. They have low stock right now, which does bring us to something important for the entire holiday season, which is back orders.
Yeah.
A trick for you, because this came up with our crank, this came up last year. When the baits run out of stock, if you back order them, you get them first when they come back.
Before they're available back on the site, your stuff gets shipped out sooner.
Because we figured out that there were baits that were gone for like months and months and months and months, and we couldn't figure out why they never got restocked. They were getting restocked, and they were all going out to back orders before they even made it to the site. Yeah. So keep that in mind. So the Keyburn is hard to get right now. Some of these others I'm sure will be difficult to get as we get closer to the holidays, but you can always back order them.
You want to talk about gear real quick?
Yes, last but not least is gear. We are going to make this really simple. This combo right here, if you watched us talk jerkbaits, you already know what it is. 610 X Pride paired up with an Aldebaran. At any price point, anywhere in the industry, this is my favorite jerkbait rod, period. It is a very difficult action for a company to get right. A rod that has a crisp enough tip section to snap a jerkbait without pulling it. It has to snap. It's got to be crisp. But then how do you take that and blend it into a rod that will actually flex and load up and keep a little tiny treble hook pinned? It's very difficult for companies to do. This rod knocked it out of the park. At any price, I don't care if it's a $100 rod or a $700 rod, this rod at like $279 or thereabouts has got it dialed. I love it paired with that Aldebaran so I can get long casts, and I fish it on 10 to 12 pound fluoro all winter long. I used to mix and match a lot, and I've just finally settled for the winter time. I throw it on straight fluoro. It's really easy, it's really consistent. I love that setup.
One more.
This guy is the answer for budget. That same rod, Shimano X Pride, that 610 medium, is also offered in the SLX, which is a $100 rod. So $100 rod, $100 reel, and it's that exact same action. It's not as light in your hand. There's a little more weight there. Obviously, something's going to change when you go from mid 200s down to 100. But the action, that crisp snap, it's there in a $100 rod. You cannot beat that. So those rods together, there are all sorts of great jerkbait rods on the market, but that is where I would go, hands down, every time. I love those rods. We'll link all this gear down in the video description for you guys to make it really simple. We appreciate you. There's a bunch more buyer's guides coming. Some higher end gear, some mid-range, all the way up to the ultra high end gear.
Some swim bait stuff.
Some swim bait stuff. And then we're gonna go down true budget rods too, lower than we've gone in the past. That is coming as well. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.